Welcome back to the Chasing Tone podcast. I, of course, am Brian Wampler of Wampler Pedals. Back again with Blake Weiland of the Tone Mob podcast. Today we go in a million different places. We talk about YouTube videos. We talk about what makes them great, what makes them bad. We talk about some of the new creatives coming up in the YouTube world, demoing pedals. And we also talk about a couple of our newest products and how you can save the world. So with that, let's jump right into it. Hi, Blake.
Guess what I'm doing right now?
Waiting for a girl like me.
Well, that's always the case. But guess what else I'm doing?
To come into your life? What? What else?
I got a vintage DOD 250 here. One of like the early yellow box. Yeah, the early yellow box. Yeah, like gotcha. Right after they switched. And for no reason at all, I'm looking in the input jack and out the output jack to the light bulb on the other side.
Well, who'd have thought that would happen?
It's just some good machining right there, is what I'm trying to tell you.
It's almost like the input jack forms a hole. And the output jack. It's
like they had a long drill bit and just drilled it right through.
That's one way. Or they just used math and measured.
That's witchcraft. Witchcraft.
I don't believe in that stuff either. That's why I just randomly put parts on circuit boards.
Mathematics.
No one needs mathematics for something as finicky as electronics. You know?
No kidding. I do really like this pedal. I don't know why I was doing that while we were talking, but I was, and I'm sorry if that offends you.
So the DOD OD250, how do you like to run that? Do you run that into a clean amp or dirty amp? What's your preference?
I run most things into a clean amp, or clean-ish. And by clean, I mean kind of dirty. No. It's edge of breakup. That's kind of where I set my amps most of the time, depending on volume level and the amp itself. But yeah, I like it into a clean amp.
So when you hit that pedal on, you're actually, like, what you hear is more of the amp breaking up then. Mm-hmm.
So I'm pushing it a little bit harder. I do actually do some weird stuff with it in that which I think it's kind of weird. I dial back the level and crank that gain up to about 3/4. To me, this thing sounds a bit harsh after 3/4. But all of the breakup before that, I really, really like.
You like that, huh? Mm-hmm. Well, you know why that is, right? It depends what you mean by harsh. Do you mean you get some upper high harmonics, some
exactly.
fizzies?
Yeah, you get some fizzies if you go much past 75% in my experience.
Well, you know what that is, right? It's because like that gain control is actually changing the negative feedback. You know, so once you change that negative feedback, what you're doing is affecting higher frequencies, clipping those higher frequencies. So
clipping the higher. Oh, I did not.
That's why that happens. Yeah.
The more you know. Yeah. Look at
that type of tone control. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's acting as a variable resistor in the negative feedback.
Whose back is getting fed, though? That's what I'm not understanding.
I have no idea what you even mean by. Okay, so negative feedback. I get
just
negative feedback all the time, but
it's like, you know,
usually from my wife.
I don't know. I don't know what I meant by that. It made no sense. I was trying to make a joke and it wasn't good. Okay, don't try to point it out to everyone.
See, this ought to prove that I don't use fake laughter because I didn't laugh at that.
You're supposed to, Bob, insert some, please. Back there, if you could insert some laughter on that joke, I'd feel a lot better about it. Anyway, that's actually pretty interesting. I knew that it was introducing more high-end, like, frequencies, but I didn't realize it was clipping them. So that's...
Well, I mean, yeah, because, okay, so I'm trying to third grade level this, right? So, second grade level for you. Yeah. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that where it's at in the circuit, with the gain control back, let's call it it's not really a resonant frequency. That's the term I used to use, but it's more like the peak of what frequency that the gain's being applied to, maybe more in the bass frequencies when it's all the way down. as you move it up, then it's kind of moving that peak up. Does that make sense?
It does.
Maybe at 11 o'clock, maybe you're more like 300 hertz. And maybe at 12 o'clock, you're more like 800 hertz. Maybe at 2 o'clock, you're more like 2K hertz. You know? I mean, I don't have the schematic in front of me, so I don't know exactly, but I'm saying that's kind of what happens there. So, and since there's diodes right after that, which clip the signal, creating the distortion sound, that's why you're getting some spikies in there.
Interesting. Yeah, and I've noticed when people introduce new versions, which I only know because I talk to them, they don't necessarily bill them this way, but I know some companies that have different versions of the 250 that they kind of have their own spin on, and they have a different tone control circuit in there that lets you dial it in, whereas the original is just a two-knobber. Well,
there's actually a low-pass filter after the diodes. So it's taken off a set amount of highs there. Now, it's really, really easy to implement like a RAT-type tone control there. Mm-hmm. Because the RAT tone control, it's the same type of low-pass filter. It just has a variable resistor there. So, we're like in the DOD 250, it's a 10K resistor or something, and like a 0.001 microfarad cap. So if you make that 10K resistor, let's say you pull that resistor out, you put a 100K pot in there, okay? Mm-hmm. Which is not the best way to do it because you're going to lose some volume and it's going to affect other stuff. But it does make an easy way to make a tone control.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Another way is using a bigger cap and smaller potentiometer. Mm-hmm. And another way is to just do a different type of tone control that works way better. But those are all viable ways.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Back in my modding days, back before I was building stuff, I used to do all kinds of mods like that.
Well,
just for fun.
I quit my job. I quit everything. I'm going to go get rich because you just gave me this key to success. I know how to get millions of dollars now. Millions.
No, you'll be 100 in no time. So.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. That is interesting. I was wondering about that because we were not planning on talking about this at all, which is kind of funny. The lowly DOD 250 is one of my favorite pedals with certain amplifiers. And I know it's like one of the most basic circuits ever. It's almost like a datasheet build if I'm not completely talking out of my level.
Super simple. Yeah, super simple.
So yeah, that's interesting that I just got a quick crash course on some tweaks to my favorite little circuit. So, thanks.
Well, I bring that up because I don't know if you actually saw this. I had been planning, actually I've been in the process of rewriting the DIY book.
Oh, we've talked about this 400 times. Yeah. I don't even believe it's happening at this point.
Well, it is, but I don't know if you saw this last week. I actually, since I didn't get it done in time for Thanksgiving like I was planning on, Thanksgiving being this week for the non-American folks. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I just re-released the old one temporarily, and it's not like to make money. It actually, I'll tell you to be honest, I kind of got frustrated because I saw there's some people like selling it for like $2,000 to $4,000.
I seen that. Like, we've joked about the $600 ballpark for a while, and I seen that. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I took a screenshot of it. Even it was $4,100, and I was like, "That is absolutely ridiculous." And there's no way in hell I'm going to let someone spend $4,000 on that. Mm-hmm. So I thought, you know what? This would make a good Christmas gift for a few people. I can click a button and make it live. So I clicked the button and made it live.
Right.
Now, it's not going to be that way forever, and it is the old version, so anyone that buys it, and it does say in there, like, if you have any problems, email me. I'm just letting you know right now, you're probably not going to get a response back because I simply don't have the time to provide tech support for mods. I just don't. Sorry. So that's out of the question. But
for crying out loud, I was so excited to email you and ask you all these questions.
Well, I mean, you can. I just can't promise I'll answer.
You'll answer me. You will.
For the right amount of money. I'll answer. No, I'm kidding. No, but I don't have time. That's why I actually quit selling it in the first place, because I just couldn't keep up with like trying to build a pedal company and trying to answer emails about what happens when I change this to a 12K instead of a 10K,
Which is Which is an interesting thing to talk about because you wrote the book in the first place because you were tired of answering emails.
Well, yeah,
Right?
I sold the book because I was just answering people. And I'm like, I got to get paid something for my time, man.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is killing me. And so I did that. But then the pedal business took off, and I remember it clear as a bell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not clear. That's sound clear as day. How about that? Remember, clear as day. I had to choose. I was at a point. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sleep tonight until I choose if I'm going to continue on with writing stuff, DIY based, or whether I'm going to continue with this pedal thing, like building pedals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of a flip of the coin. I really didn't have any idea which one was going to be better. I just knew I liked them both, And so I'm like, I think I'm just going to build pedals for a while.
There you go.
And
build pedals for a while? Gonna hire was it your grandma or your wife's grandma to do some soldering?
Yeah, my wife's grandma. Yeah, she used to work at
your
Harmon.
wife's grandma.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing some soldering, working in a shed.
Well, she wasn't working in the shed. I was working in the shed.
Oh.
Yeah,
I had this other image of all the Wamplers are huddled around circuit boards, just soldering away like robots.
My 6-year-old at the time, Daddy, I'm tired. Shut up! Get back to work, boy!
Get to work! The solder needs to flow. These pedals gotta get out the door. Mm-hmm.
But I've got school tomorrow. You don't need school.
Look at me. I barely graduated high school. Look what I did.
Oh, no, there was nothing like that, no. No, it was a fun time because, I don't know. At the time it didn't seem fun, but I guess looking back it does. But you know how that is. Everybody looks back at the past. We romanticize everything, so we look back and we tend to forget the crap. And we just think about the fun stuff. And you're like, that was actually kind of fun, staying up all the time and soldering stuff all by myself. But then like not sleeping for a week and a half and, wondered why I was getting sick all the time. And
it is an interesting thing we do. So, sorry, got a little bit of a thing here.
Got a frog in your throat.
I do. Get it out of there. It's a thing that we seem to do as people, which is we romanticize the past and then we focus on the negative in the present.
Yes.
Which is kind of weird. It's so odd that is how we're wired, and I wonder why that is, but that doesn't have anything to do with guitar pedals.
Well, I think it doesn't, but I think it's an interesting discussion, and it's my podcast. We'll talk whatever we want to.
Okay.
Anyways. I'm totally teasing.
I'll talk about whatever you want on your podcast, too.
I think it's part of the tribe mentality. If you're not actively looking for danger 3,000 years ago, you're going to get eaten by a tiger, dude.
Right.
So I think it's a hardwiring thing.
Oh, that makes sense. Like, I got to find a problem. I must find, like, here we are, like, our biggest problem is like, oh, for crying out loud, there is not enough IPA selection in this store. This is terrible. Like, that's our biggest problem in the Western world.
And see, with me right now, it's like, I cannot believe that this signal from this phone is taking so long to get to that satellite in outer space and back down to a computer, back up to the satellite and back down to my phone so I can download or look at Facebook. It's ridiculous.
It's insane. Everything's garbage. Everything's terrible.
The world is terrible right now. It's horrible.
Oh, for crying out loud. Thanks, Obama.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Stupid Obama probably made this happen.
Oh, believe it or not, folks, we actually did have some topics that included not the DOD 250 and not blaming Obama for our lack of cell service. We did have some things planned, and so maybe it would be a good segue to get into that.
Okay. All right. You ready for the first topic?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Here we are, like 30 minutes in or whatever in first topic, okay?
16 minutes and 15 seconds.
So here's what I'm going to ask you. And I have my own theory. I want to hear yours. Why do some demos of the same pedal, why are some incredible, and why do others completely suck on ice?
Oh.
YouTube demos.
Yes. My take on that. So there's a couple things. for one, and I'm totally guilty of this, just pointing your cell phone at it and taking your shoes off and like stomping your nasty foot all over the pedal and just doing like, I don't know, that doesn't constitute a good demo in my mind. If you, and now I speak as somebody who has done that very thing before, so don't, I don't know, don't want people to think I'm just calling anyone out because I've done that myself, but yeah, there's a big difference in between an Andy PGS demo that's like well thought out and well produced and mic'd appropriately and put together versus just throw the phone in front of it and see what happens.
Right.
I think that's a big one. However, I will say the quality of phone demos has gone substantially up as phone quality has increased. So
that's
there's
very
that
true.
Too.
Well, even just regular video. I mean, shoot, if you look at Andy's first videos, they're nowhere near. I mean, they still sound good, but they're nowhere near the quality of what we have now.
Oh, exactly.
You know? Just because the technology, I mean, it was only a couple years ago, but still, like, you know, a decent camera, like back then, is a joke today. It's just a joke compared to what you have in your, you know, on your iPhone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And then also, kind of in that same line of thinking, a lot of people have taken advantage of this new and cheaper and better technology and started producing equal, if not better, demos to his. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, like the knob stuff and guys like that, they're crushing it with the demos.
Oh man, Knobs is, I am so, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm intrigued, but I'm blown away by the creativity that he had. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but that they have.
Yeah.
You know, it blows me away. And it's amazing. I don't know if you've seen this now. Some people are copying his style, which, not to get too far off topic, but to me, that's a lot like taking a Casey Neistat video and copying that style. Like that's kind of what Knobs does, you know? So like whenever I find someone that does something unique, I'm always just like, I watch it like a hawk. Like it becomes my Netflix, you know?
Right.
Cause, I study it and I want to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. And, not because I want to emulate it, but it's more like just admiration for the creativity. I know that's weird. Like, I'm
when
kind of a weird guy
when
like
it's
that.
to that level, like, not there again. The knob stuff is kind of above and beyond what we were used to seeing.
Right.
It's not just a pedal demo. It's not just here's how it sounds. It's like here's this beautifully put together piece of media. So therefore, I can understand why people kind of want to try to at least match it, but nobody really has, unfortunately.
Right.
I mean,
well, I'm going to run this sideways a little bit, but I think it's still an interesting discussion. So when I totally lost it.
I was like, I'm ready for this. This is going to be great.
Okay, I got it. I do if I stalled long enough to be back. Okay, so here's my question. What do you think what's going to be another, not knob style, but what's another way for someone to put together a demo video, that is unique? I don't know. I would love to find that answer. I don't know that answer, but I would love to be able to say, I wish I had like the video creativity where I could be like, okay, here's my vision of what it should look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have that bone for whatever reason.
I don't want to say, because I had a lot of ideas of how I wanted to do things. And I would say that my theories for doing demos were not so much a demo video. It was probably better described as a teaser trailer. But I was really excited to do it. I just, like you, realized I didn't have time. But I still want to try one of these days, so I don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
Well, I had a very interesting discussion with somebody the other day. They live outside of the United States, so it's totally different person. And the discussion, we were talking about gear videos, but what we like about them. And his perspective was totally different. And I think what he indicated is kind of his culture, and that Like, I'm looking to be entertained. If I'm watching a gear video, if I'm watching any YouTube video, like, and this is why like my videos are so short. If I click on something and it's like 30 minutes long, I'm like, nope, not watching it. I need the 3-minute video. Where's the 5-minute video at the most? So like, I'm looking for something quick and easy if I'm wanting to learn something. But there's other things that just for complete, I don't care if if I just want to be entertained, I'm okay with a longer video. But like I don't know. It's still, even the short ones, they still have to have a degree of entertainment to me. So even if someone takes a video of showing me how to, I don't know, create, I'm trying to think how to make the perfect gear YouTube video. I'll watch it unless they're completely boring. And then I lose interest. And I was talking to him, and what he was telling me is like, at least the people that he associates with, around him, they don't think like that. Like, the entertainment value means nothing to them. What is the content is more important. So the person could be dry as just totally dry and boring to watch, but as long as the pedal sounds good, they're okay.
Interesting.
I guess I don't consume things that way. So I'm wondering what your take is. Is the entertainment value that important to you, or do you just want to hear the sound of the pedal?
Now, entertainment value is important to me because for most effects and at least most, this is going to be sort of a oxymoron, but most mainstream boutique effects, there's multiple demo videos. So if I just want to hear what it sounds like, I can find out in, a short amount of time, roughly what it sounds like and what it does. If I want to sit down and I'm going to judge somebody's content on whether it's for me or not, there better be some form of entertainment, whether it's they are a great player, their commentary is witty, the way they cut their videos together is interesting. There needs to be something there for me to sit down and watch a whole, long video, or even more than 5 minutes. There probably needs to be something there for me to drag me in, because I can get the gist from other places. So I'm with you. That must be a cultural thing.
Yeah, it really blew me away, because I can't imagine watching, and I don't want to throw any names out there, but I can't imagine watching a video where the person that's behind the camera doing the video, just they're boring to me. You know what I mean? And I know that probably sounds really shallow. I probably sound like the most shallow American ever, but I'm just being honest, from the way that I digest, the way I consume YouTube videos and really content in general. It's more based around entertainment, and I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's why shows like the Pedal Show on YouTube really taken off. One, they have every piece of gear you could possibly imagine. They're great players. They're funny. They have a lot to talk about. It's entertaining, and it brings a lot of value. Versus like you said, just the guy that throws an iPhone down in front of his amp and noodles around for 20 minutes,
Right. Or those two guys that are on Chasing Tone.
Those guys suck.
Those guys are so dumb. So dumb. Oh, man. I heard that one of them doesn't even know how to build a pedal.
Yes, I do, so shut up.
Okay.
I'm teasing, I really don't. No.
I didn't see that coming. That tickled my funny bone.
So, one of the things that, speaking of YouTube videos and Chasing Tone, I look back now and I look at the videos that, these audio hit my mic. These audio podcasts that that I did with Travis and Max. At the time, I thought that I was wrong. Let me back up. So I was just wrong. I thought that watching three guys talk about something would be incredibly entertaining. And to a few people it was, but I think by and large, I think the audio version probably was a lot more entertaining than watching three guys sweat sitting on a couch, and that's nothing against those guys at all. I think it's more, I guessed wrong on what would be a good video. You know?
Right. I mean, that makes sense. I've told you this before, that I never watched the YouTube version. I only listened to the audio version. And it had nothing to do with, some of that's personal bias. I don't watch nearly as much YouTube as some people. I, however, listen to a lot of podcasts. So that there is a personal bias there, but I think the format of sitting around and talking about gear definitely lends itself better to an audio rather than audio and visual, because, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I think part of it, this might sound a little bit funny, part of it is videos just straight up take up more data, and people have limited data these days.
Right.
So I think there's probably a good segment of the audience of that original show that went, either they'll watch it on their desktop, or they'll just download the audio version and listen in the car.
Right.
So that's kind of my guess. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. Well, I still get comments on some of those videos, and like, especially on old videos where people are asking questions like, wow, this video sucks. And I'm like, well, it was 2008 and high def cameras weren't even available yet, under like $5,000. So yeah, that was a top of the line $700 camcorder at the time. So I'm sorry it wasn't great quality for you, but you know, like, I didn't have one in my pocket like I do now.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I still am really excited to see, like, you know, what people did, like what Knobs did. I'm excited to see what the next generation of creative, I call them filmmakers, but it's not really a film, the creative video creators, you know? I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen in the guitar community with those whose talent lies in video production, you know? Because I consume YouTube way more than TV or Netflix or anything like that. If I'm watching video, it's generally on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're gonna see more and more. Let's be honest, we can't do here's my clean tone, here's what the pedal sounds like forever. There's plenty of that, and I think Knobs has proven that there is an interest in other styles, and I will be very, very curious to see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're headed for some really sweet stuff.
I think so too. Especially, man, I mean, you know, when I was younger, we didn't have, like, back when I was a kid, we didn't have, there was really nothing to learn, like, how to create video. Like, audio stuff was different because, like, I had the 4-track tape recorder, you know, where I could, you know, so I could kind of multi-track a little bit with the 4-channel multi-track recorder. So, like, when I got on, like, my first application of that was like Cakewalk on a PC, or it was actually called Guitar Tracks, made by Cakewalk. And so that was my first DAW. You know what I mean? And this was 2003 or something, right? So it wasn't great by today's standards, but still, like, I was like, holy cow, I can create unlimited tracks. I don't have to bounce anything. I don't lose any loss. Like, there's no loss in signal, you know what I mean, from analog tape. So that was, when like GarageBand came along and Logic Pro, like, all that stuff makes more sense to me because I kind of grew up with that, but I didn't grow up with any sort of video editing software of any sort, you know? So I know what I like, but I don't know how to get there. So that's something that I'm going to make a goal for myself. I'm going to get better at that in 2017.
It's not bad, because as much as you know what you like, you know, you're not necessarily producing things that way. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's like, you know, I was watching a video about Foo Fighters last night. And Dave Grohl was talking about whenever they made the first couple albums, and I guess I don't remember the guy's name now, but he went back and basically recut the album because he didn't like the drums. You know, he was that much of a perfectionist. And I probably am a bit of a perfectionist to the I drive Bob, my video guy, crazy, I think, and he's listening to this right now, so he's probably shaking his head, going, "Yep, yep,
Yep." You should hear all the stuff I cut out of this podcast because Brian wanted to. Yeah.
It's mostly video. I'm like, it's getting there, but I think we should do this or this or this. And so we upload the video like 45 times when he's like changing little pieces of that. I'm like, okay, at 1 minute and 43 seconds, make a soft splice and go to this, put in this, but make sure you show that fourth camera angle. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm finicky,
It's
but
good.
I guess that's better than like saying, I don't care. Whatever.
I don't care. Put it up there.
Right. So,
but Brian, it shows all of your bald spots. Don't worry about it. That's where I want it. No, Brian, it shows all of them. All of them. Anyway.
If you've ever seen me on YouTube, like it's pretty hard not to catch my bald spots.
Well, I figured you'd have a little airbrushing done or something, come on.
I need a wig. Back to my hair store. I need to put my hair distortion wig on.
Yes, there you go. Put the hair distortion wig back on. That's what you need to do.
That's what I'm missing.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Brian Wampler. Look at my hair.
And when I'm not doing my hair, I like to make guitar pedals.
When I'm not really trying to blow dry this mane, I like to occasionally bend circuits. That's what I do.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
We didn't even get close, Brian. We didn't even get close to what we were going to talk about. Woof.
Okay, so why do some demos of a pedal? Why are some great and why do some suck?
Because on some demos you can see the guy's bald spots. And on others they got a nice full mane.
It could be. Okay, so the shot setup, right? So we have where the shot is set up that could be really bad.
Bob, insert laughter. Insert laughter on that last one, please, Bob. And there
so
too.
we have that.
And there too, also. Anyway. Yeah, no, that is actually a big thing. The way they frame themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I think,
the pedal.
honestly, yeah. I think, honestly, a big thing that I see, and it's not really with the big guys because they got this stuff down. Mm-hmm. But like people that I see that are trying to grow their YouTube channel, not all of them, but some of them, they may take the wrong pedal with the wrong amp. So, they have, let's say, a really bright fuzz pedal, for example, through a Vox AC-15.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's going to sound like a turd no matter what you do, man. Mm-hmm. It's going to be pretty hard to tame that out. But if you put it on something different that's, like, let's say, I don't know, a basement or something that's cranked, that's a whole different sound,
For sure.
So, I mean, maybe the wrong amp for the application, maybe the way it's mic'd, sticking the 57 right in the middle of a cone on a bright and chimey amp, and then running a distortion with a lot of high harmonics in it. You're asking for trouble with that one.
A DOD 250 that's cranked all the way up?
Well, the opposite. I mean, you put a tube screamer through a PV Classic 50 or 30 or something, which is a little bit duller. It's not a real chimey amp. Works great with pedals because of that, but it's not a real chimey amp. And so what happens is it sounds like a blanket's over the amp. You know what I mean? And it's just the wrong pedal for the wrong amp.
I think that's almost a whole nother discussion altogether. Is matching pedals to amps, and that really should just be a little bit more. If only someone, common sense.
If only someone made an amp that would work with every pedal. Oh wait, guess what we just did today?
You came out with a pedal that works with every amp.
Close.
Oh,
I came out with an amp that works with every pedal. So
every pedal.
So here's the magic of it, right? So it is a 40 watt amp, 6L6s, but I'm killing, like, normally when you turn those things up, you start getting clipping around 7, 8 o'clock or so. Not 7 or 8 o'clock, but 7 or 8 on the dial. Mm-hmm. So I wanted it clean. Like all the way up. So did some stuff in the phase inverter section so it wasn't distorting as much when it was turned up. Did some creative EQ stuff, so it has a fat boost, which is basically increasing the mid range, And there's a 3-band EQ on it as well. But the magic. Oh, and before I tell you the magic, it also has a tube buffered effects loop. Yep. It works awesome.
Love me some tube buffered effects loop, which I just discovered recently.
Oh man, it's magic. And but the real beauty is what I did with the bright control. Now, normally on an amp that has a bright switch, it's like 2-position or 3-position, right? So it's like one's too dull, one's too bright, especially if it's like a 2-position switch. So what I did is I put 6 different levels of brightness. So all the way from like you're more like a classic 50 where it's fairly dull, not dull, but not bright, not chimey. All the way to
it's not crackling.
Right. All the way to a very chimey, voxy type of chime, I guess. And it's not based on the Vox, but it still gets a lot of that chime with the bright control all the way up. So what that allows you to do is, so let me back up a little bit. When an amp when it sounds real raspy like that, a lot of times it's because of a certain capacitor that's tied to the volume control, okay? So what I did is just I made that a bunch of different degrees of brightness. So therefore you can get duller, you can get brighter, but that allows you to, let's say you're using a tube screamer and you're like, it's a little too dull. You can just dial in a little bit more brightness and boom, there you go. It sounds good. But the opposite end, let's say you're using something that's, maybe like let's say like a fuzz face or something that hates those bright caps. Okay. Right. Well, then you can just click down a dial or two on the bright switch and the fuzz face sounds amazing through it. And
so
that's the beauty.
It's just basically, as you dial it down, it's essentially kind of deleting that bright cap out of the circuit.
Yes.
To some degree.
Incrementally. Yep.
That sounds fun. Because you're right. Like a bright switch, generally I usually like them up, depending on how I'm running my pedals, but they're usually too much or too little. You're right.
I know Andy from Pro Guitar Shop just demoed it. I got a message back from those guys, and apparently he fell in love with it. He's like, "Holy cow, this amp is awesome! I love it."
Nice.
So yeah, so that's
steal it from him. I'm breaking into their headquarters tonight. I'm gonna get it.
And usually they don't say that. Usually they're like, "Well, this pedal does make sounds." So,
you turn it on, there's an LED comes on, and then also there's sound that comes out of it.
It does what it says. It turns on and makes sound. So,
thanks for the review, fellas.
Oh, but yeah, so I'm super excited. It's our first real amp release. A couple years ago, I did build 3 or 4, maybe 5 amps. I forget how many now. I think I got 5 transformers. So, 5 amps, and we just sold them direct to a few guys, A few
guys like Alex Clay.
Alex Clay has one. Paisley has one. I think Brent Mason has one. So there's just a couple guys that have one. But yeah, and so this is our first release that is available to retailers. So make sure you if you're interested, call up your store and say, "Hey, do you have the new Wampler amp?" And if they're like, "No," say, "What are you doing with your life? Why am I even buying off you guys if you're not going to buy Wampler stuff?"
Exactly.
And that's how you should phrase it too. And if they're like, "Why are you talking to me this way?" Say, "Brian told me to."
That's right. You said I was listening to a podcast that said you're a terrible retailer if you don't carry Wampler goods. In fact, you're also not just a terrible retailer, but you're a terrible person.
Exactly. You should reevaluate what you're doing with your life.
You really need to consider, how you're treating people and the future of your children, and carry Wampler goods already. For crying out loud.
Exactly.
I'd phrase it just like that too, and I'd also quote, that came from Brian Wampler, not Blake Wyland.
Quote, Brian Wampler, Chasing Tone Podcast.
2016.
2016. Oh, yeah. So, I've solved world problems now.
Yeah, I can't really think of any other issues that we're having, so well done. I mean, Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, what's next?
Well, the thing that I don't really market about this amp, but if you're an American citizen, you've probably heard about the new president-elect that's going to happen. I don't want to get into politics. I just do want to say this amp will solve that problem. How will it solve that problem? Because if you are for Trump, this amp will make you happier. Now, if you're not for Trump, when you turn this amp on, it'll make you happier. There you go. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. That does fix things. Or
Told
at
you.
least cauterizes the wound a little bit.
Solving world problems here, 1 amp at a time.
1 amp at a time. That's great. That's great news. Hashtag Merca.
Yep.
Well, I don't even know how to go up from here. I don't even know how to improve upon what we've created, the content we've created, the joy we've established in people's lives. I don't even know. I don't think it can be topped.
Well, with that said, then I guess we'll have to call it a day for today, huh?
That sounds good to me. I got to just rush to my local retailer and berate them for not carrying Wampler products. Remember,
yes, you need to make sure that they understand that their failure is imminent if they don't carry Wampler products.
Not just their failure. Nay, their country's failure.
They're failing their country by not carrying the new Bravado amp by Wampler. Exactly.
Oh, man.
Now, if there's rioting in the streets over this, I don't take responsibility. I'm just saying.
We've really done it this time. We've taken it too far. Oh, boy. Well, Brian, I agree with you. America agrees with you. And I don't think we can really do any better than that.
All right. So until next week, Blake, have a good weekend.
Later, Hosen.
Thanks again for listening to the Chasing Tone podcast. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, you can always email podcast at wamplerpedals.com. You can always email Blake at info@tonemob.com. You can check us out on Facebook. We have a special group there for people who love effects called Wampler Pedals Tone Group. Blake has one as well called the Tone Mob. And if you would like to leave a comment on YouTube, it really helps us. I really appreciate it if you could leave a comment on YouTube, on iTunes. And I might have said YouTunes a minute ago, but I meant iTunes. And just leave a comment there. Tell everyone how much you love the show, how much you appreciate what we do. If you like it. I hope you do. So with that said, thanks again, and we'll talk to you next week.